Hey everyone, you know how sometimes you look at your smartphone, that sleek, gorgeous slab of glass in your hand, and you realize it as basically an indispensable part of your body. Well, before this magic existed, there was one device that was utterly addictive. It was the phone that ran the world. It belonged in every CEO's pocket, every politician's hand, and every teen's anxious grip. We are talking about BlackBerry. Their story isn't just a corporate tragedy. It is a masterclass in what happens when you are so good at being first that you forget how to be next. And trust me, the tale of how they went from being the absolute king of mobile communication to being completely wiped out by an iPhone is a wild ride of missed chances, stubborn pride, and a whole lot of terrible corporate decisions. If you are ready to see how $1 trillion idea can crash and burn because of one major screw-up, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. We unpack this kind of mess every week. Let's rewind to the late 90s and early 2000s. The company, originally called Research in Motion RIM, had a game-changing idea: mobile email. Before this, getting an email on the go was like trying to herd cats. Then, in 2002, they dropped the BlackBerry 5810. It was revolutionary. It had that signature, satisfying, clicky QWERTY keyboard that people obsessed over. It had a little roller wheel thing. But most importantly, it had a proprietary network that delivered email instantly and securely. This wasn't just a phone, it was a mobile office. It earned the nickname Crackberry because once you had one, you couldn't put it down. For corporate America and Wall Street, it was mandatory. The security was unmatched, the battery life was legendary, and the famous BBM BlackBerry Messenger created a closed, exclusive social network before Snapchat was even a glimmer in someone's eye. At its peak, BlackBerry owned 50% of the US smartphone market and 20% of the global market. They were the undisputed top dog, they were the king of the castle, and they thought the moat was too wide to cross. But the moment their downfall began was in January 2007. That was the month Steve Jobs stepped onto a stage and unveiled the original iPhone. Now, listen to how BlackBerry's leadership reacted, because this is where the arrogance kicks in. The co-CEOs at the time, Mike Lazaridis and Jim Balsillie, literally laughed. They called the iPhone a novelty, a toy for consumers. Their reasoning wasn't totally crazy at the time. The iPhone lacked a physical keyboard, the horror. Its battery life was terrible, and it had zero corporate security features. BlackBerry basically said, "We handle serious business. That thing handles MP3 South. We're safe." This was their fatal, hilarious, and ultimately tragic mistake. They looked at the iPhone and saw a worse BlackBerry. They failed to see that the iPhone was creating an entirely new category of mobile computer with an interface designed for the masses, not just for corporate email. They were focused on the keyboard, the world was focused on the screen. While Apple was building the App Store, a place where developers could make millions by bringing the internet to your pocket, BlackBerry was still focused on their secure corporate server structure. The world wanted fun and functionality. BlackBerry was giving them a spreadsheet. They were so convinced their physical keyboard and enterprise security were the only things that mattered that they totally whiffed on the consumer ship. By the time they finally woke up and realized the iPhone wasn't a joke, they were years behind. They tried to catch up. They released the BlackBerry Storm in 2008, their first touchscreen device. And oh boy, was it a disaster. The screen was clunky, the software was buggy, and it had a weird clickable screen technology that nobody wanted. It was the definition of trying to tape a 1990s VCR to an HDTV. They kept stumbling. They resisted embracing full touchscreens. They tried to force their old operating system into a new form factor. They tried to create their own tablet, the BlackBerry Playbook, which launched without essential apps like email or calendar. That's like selling a car without an engine or wheels. I mean, seriously. If you think that decision was insane, let me know in the comments below. The market share evaporated with terrifying speed. Developers fled because nobody wanted to build apps for a struggling platform. Consumers flocked to Android and iOS, which had thousands of apps and seamless interfaces. By 2013, BlackBerry's global market share had dropped to less than 3%. The company went through a series of humiliating CEO changes, massive layoffs, and the quiet, painful realization that their core product was essentially obsolete. They went from being worth over $80 billion to a fraction of that in less than 5 years. The ultimate takeaway here is brutal, but simple. Innovation is not a one-time thing. BlackBerry got lazy, they were the victim of their own massive success. They believed their secure, physical product was good enough, while Apple successfully redefined the entire category. They failed to understand that the user experienced the fun, the ease of use, the apps was the new security. They sold a tool for work, Apple sold a tool for life. And in the end, life won. They now exist as a software security company, far removed from their hardware glory days. And while they still make money, the iconic little phone with the clicky keyboard is a distant memory, a reminder that tech, standing still, is the fastest way to disappear. Thanks for joining this ride down memory lane. If you enjoyed this corporate autopsy, please make sure to subscribe and check out our video on the rise of Android, which learned all the right lessons from BlackBerry's failures. What classic tech do you miss the most? Let me know below.